Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I will not fall for any of the following: alcoholics, workaholics, commitment phobics, people with girlfriends or wives, misogynists, melomaniacs, chauvinists, emotional fuckwits, freeloaders, or perverts. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
I think I've dated every single one of those that was mentioned.
I think I might have too, actually. I don't think I've actually dated anybody with a wife. So there's one, but the rest, maybe.
Dated? No. Been asked out by?
Yes.
And found out? Yeah. On
Yes.
one of the apps? Yeah.
This week we are dorking out about 2001's Bridget Jones'S Diary. This is our holiday New Year's movie. It is based on the book, of course, by Helen Fielding. It is directed by Sharon McGuire, and the screenplay is by Richard Curtis, Andrew Davies, and Helen Fielding, her book, obviously. I did not know this until I looked it up, that Andrew Davies was the person who wrote the 95 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. This all makes so much sense to me now. Yeah. I mean, I knew that Bridget Jones's Diary was based on Pride and Prejudice, but I didn't realize they actually got Andrew Davies from the Pride and Prejudice miniseries, which is a classic. If y'all haven't seen it, watch it. Colin Firth is very, very handsome as Mr. Darcy. And of course, he's playing Mark Darcy here. Renee Zellweger is Bridget Jones. Hugh Grant is Daniel Cleaver. Jim Broadbent and Gemma Jones as her mother. This was released in April 2001, even though this seems like a holiday movie to me. Seems weird that it came out in April. Did you see this in the theater?
I couldn't see it fast enough
Same.
in the theater. I had the book.
Yep.
I read all about it. I think Vanity Fair did a big profile on it. I was totally on board. I got very tired of the, boy, Renee Zellweger gained a lot of weight.
Oh my God.
Meme thing. She gained 25 pounds. This is someone who's very slender.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the book, Bridget's not fat.
No.
Ever.
No, she's obsessed with her weight. There's a lot of jokes about her being chubby. She weighs between 130 and 140.
Yeah.
That's pretty thin.
It's great. I mean, and it looks good on her.
Yeah, she looks awesome. She's adorable. Everybody drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the book too and loved the movie. And Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen is one of my favorite books. And I tend to really love all the adaptations of it.
Mm-hmm,
so
same.
This movie was definitely in my wheelhouse. And is the episode of Book versus Movie available where you talk about the book versus the movie for Bridget Jones?
I believe it's on Patreon, but I'll double check. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're not really going to do that here. So if you guys want to do that, maybe go to their Patreon page for Book versus Movie. That's Margo's other podcast where they talk about this. And we talked about it in one of our first times recording together. We did.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we weren't doing this show at the time, and you asked me to be on Book versus Movie, and we were talking about chick flicks.
Favorite chick flicks.
Yeah, based on books. And of course, I was going to say Bridget Jones'S Diary because I'm a basic bitch. And it was one of our first times recording together.
I know it is the basic bitch of all those rom-coms, but God damn it, it's special. I mean, it's something
totally special.
She's a really fun, flawed character.
Mm-hmm.
And Renee Zellweger, I mean, her accent is perfect. Her apartment is perfect. It's just as I imagined. I think Hugh Grant is great.
Oh my God.
As her sexually inappropriate boss.
So inappropriate. He would be sued.
So hot.
So hot.
I mean, so hot. It's distracting.
Yeah, he's charming. He's so charming. And I get it. I would also want to be harassed by Hugh Grant.
Yeah. We're talking 20 years ago. We have to kind of put some things on the shelf and just realize that's what it was at the time. But it's a fabulous rom-com. You totally root for her. And the romance is like very real and it feels very real. I don't have anything negative except maybe the music's a little loud sometimes. Sometimes it's a little like they could have, especially at the end, but
Yeah.
that's like a trifle. I mean, honestly, I really super love this movie.
I do too. I love it. It makes me feel so happy, and it makes me feel hopeful, which I wasn't 100% sure that was going to be the case during this rewatch, but it really did. And I think I was a little worried because I hadn't rewatched it in a while, and I was like, I was wondering how this movie would age for me. Like, Bridget is very focused on getting a relationship and having a man in her life, losing weight, like how much alcohol she drinks. And I guess, some people could say that's not super feminist, but I think that's okay. Like, we're talking about, I thought about this a lot. This is like her internal monologue.
Yeah.
These are the things that she's saying to herself. She's not necessarily saying them out loud. And I think a lot of women really struggle with what she's talking about. And I'll say that at Bridget Jones' age, when I was 30, I think she's 32 in the movie. When I was 32, before I got married, I treated dating like a full-time job. Like,
yeah.
I was at 38, I was on like multiple dating apps. I was on there every day, like going through my matches and like booking coffee dates. And I treated that shit like a job because I really wanted that relationship. And I think it's okay that she wants that. I'm like, that's fine. I think it's fine.
It's also completely appropriate for the time.
Yes.
It just was a thing. Like I said, when they were talking about Renee Zellweger's body, like it would not be so much of a focus now.
It's so ridiculous.
I'm trying to think. Melanie Lansky, is that the actress's name? Yeah. She's in this new movie we'll talk about later called Don't Look Up, but she plays Leonardo DiCaprio's wife. In real life, Leonardo DiCaprio, he cycles out girlfriends like Logan's Run.
Oh my God.
Like when they're 25. Yes. They're out the door. Like,
it's so weird.
No one sees them ever again.
Yes.
But in the movie, he's dating a woman. His wife is his age, Melanie Lansky.
Yes.
It's like his age, and she has a regular woman's body, which is she's beautiful. She's just right as she is. And like 20 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. They probably would have hired someone else or made her go on a big diet or something. It would have been there. And there's a lot of movies at this time. Also, Love Actually, they mention a lot of like women's bodies as a joke. So it's appropriate. It's England. It's at that time. There used to be the page 3 girls, where it was like a nude girl in the paper.
Yes.
Or topless, excuse me. They were a little more classy. But it's a lot of objectification, and it's a lot of conflict. Like, okay, we're dating. It's a new millennium. I'm not ready to be married yet, but I do want to start to meet somebody. I'm not in my 20s anymore. It's really a good idea to quit smoking and drinking so much if I want to settle down. But and if, keeping a diary is healthy, I mean, that's a good thing to do. I mean, it all makes sense. It's not feminist. It's just, honestly, it's very real.
Yeah. We're not all perfect feminists all the time, by the way.
No.
Like, we're really not. And there is where you hit a certain age, and that's what's happening to Bridget in this movie, is everyone is starting to get married and have kids and find their partners, and she hasn't yet. And there's a scene where she actually goes to like a party or a dinner party, and like she called like all the smug marrieds. And
and I got it. I know that.
Yeah, I'm like, and I've been that person too, where you go and immediately like people are like, how's your love life? And, they almost want to live vicariously through you. They want to hear about like your shitty dates and things like that. But also it makes them feel awesome about the choices they've made.
How many times were you single when you had dinner or lunch with them or at a party where they would just go, thank God I'm not out there?
Totally. Yes.
I have it all the fucking time. And I don't know how I contained my rage, because I was like, I don't want to be you. I don't want to be married to that guy. I wake up every day to him and those in-laws. And I'm not into all my friends' kids. Most of them, yes. But, Yeah, we've all made our choices.
It's happening to me now, you know. It's not a secret. Like, I'm going through a divorce right now, and I'm not dating because dating. No. No, thank you. Not right now, please. Thank you. But yeah, people are already doing that, like saying, I can't imagine being back out there. That would be horrible. I'm all, cool, thanks. Thanks for the support.
I think that was also, I don't know if you watch And Just Like That, but Carrie this week said that to like this woman who's a real estate agent. She's never married, and she's on the dating apps, and Carrie's like, wow, good for you to keep going at it. Kind of like, ugh. Like,
it's because Carrie's an asshole.
She's an asshole. That's a whole other conversation we should have. That should be an episode.
Yeah.
But,
we could do that. We could do the Sex and the City movie and maybe talk about the show.
Yeah, I'm into it.
That would be a very fun conversation. I'll just say that. But today we're talking about Bridget Jones. And so Bridget Jones works at a publishing company in London. Her boss, sexy Hugh Grant. And her parents' friend's son is this man, Mark Darcy. He is an attorney, a barrister. And he's very handsome. But he's a little bit more stiff. And
he's a dork.
He's a dork. And, you know, in classic rom-com fashion, they don't hit it off. And she continually bumps into him, like, everywhere she goes. London, big city, small town, basically. They keep running into each other everywhere they go. And they just continue to, like, rub each other the wrong way. But the truth is, he likes her very much. But she is with Hugh Grant, and we have said, how much do we love Hugh Grant in this movie?
He is very horrifying. I had a hard time not being distracted by it.
Yeah. This movie was like a game changer for Hugh Grant in that he had done things like 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and like he had, you know, he was in Sense and Sensibilities. Like, he was definitely like a romantic comedy, very charming, very likable. And he took all of that for this movie and he just twisted it because he is so handsome and he's so charming, but he is a dick to her. He's such a dick. He really fucks her over. And you're still like, would hit it. I would hit it. Like, you would.
He's the mistake a lot of us make.
Yes.
But you kind of have to go through it sometimes. I mean, you know, you're doing, you know, it's wrong. You know, it's not going to go anywhere. But, you know, chemistry is important. And somebody with game is important.
Yeah.
You know, when you have enough bad dates and bad relationships, it's fun to be around somebody who seems to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And they have great chemistry.
They do.
They really do.
Her big underpants. Oh, my God.
This is a very silly little dress, and this is very silly little shoes, and these are enormous underpants. I'm like, can relate.
I get it.
Can relate.
It's support, you know?
The whole scene where they're at this like publishing event where they're going to announce this new book. I'm sure Margo has been to a million of these.
Yes.
And she's going to introduce her boss first, and his name is Fitzherbert. And she, behind his back, calls him Tits Pervert because he just stares at her chest. The whole scene where she's trying not to say Tits Pervert every time gives me anxiety, where I'm like, she's going to do it. She's going to say Tits Pervert. I've seen the movie a million times. I know she's not going to say Tits Pervert, but still, it causes such anxiety. She is a terrible public speaker.
Also, it's like every woman has been around the office around that guy.
Oh my God, they're so gross.
They won't leave your cube alone. Like, they'll just hang around. I used to have a guy used to do that one of my first jobs, and would just pick up things out of my cube and start reading them until I paid attention to him. And it's like, and he'd be like, "Why don't you talk to me? What's up with you?" And I'm like, I'm not your goddamn girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not my job. There's so much in this movie that is just relatable. So we have Tits Pervert. We have like the uncle with the busy hands.
Ugh.
I'm sorry if that grosses people out, but this is 100% a thing that almost, I don't know if I've met a woman who hasn't had to deal with an uncle with busy hands. Like, it's
or
fucking,
a friend of the parents.
yes,
or something.
exactly. Yeah. Like, the uncle that isn't really an uncle. Yeah, it's gross, and it's the thing, and how you try to handle that. She's very, very relatable.
Yeah, she really is.
I love all of her friends. The
Shazza.
Yeah, the one who says fuck a lot. We've got her friend that had a one-hit wonder in like the early 90s, and he's just realized that he could just get laid for the rest of his life based on this one hit. So he's never going to record anything else. I like her friends. I think they're really fun.
Yeah, they're great. I like the thing where she made the soup and it was blue soup.
She's a terrible cook.
She's a terrible cook. You know, she should quit smoking. She can't. She does leave the job to work at and I know what all these jobs are. I get very excited when movies get something right. And like working on a morning TV show, because I had a lot of friends that did that. And they, doing those goofy morning segments. I love, she lands on her bum in the middle of a shot.
So awkward.
It's so awkward, but I could see why somebody like she could just totally just like wanting to be serious and wanting to be good at her job, but then totally she's kind of a clumsy. She's clumsy.
Yeah.
And that's like you said, that's just it just makes her adorable. Everybody drink.
Yeah, and she is a good person, and she is learning. She is trying her very best. And that means she's going to fail a lot. And that's super relatable. She hooks up with Hugh Grant, and she really, really falls for him because he is so charming. And he kind of freaks out on her, and it runs off. Like, they go on vacation together, where they, of course, run into Mark Darcy and Natasha, the woman from his office that he is seeing, but he doesn't seem to like her very much.
No, it's the path of least resistance for him.
And she's very controlling. Like, she's real gross. Like, like manipulating a man into liking you and wanting to marry you. And like, she like snaps her fingers at him all the time. It's like, ew. I hate women like that. I hate that.
Yeah.
And he sees like Bridget is just not like that, and she's super fun, and she has a good time wherever she goes. She makes the best of wherever she goes.
Right.
It's a great way to be.
And she has two parents who are, and everybody here's has been in a Harry Potter movie. So I always that's like how like my universe is. But Jim Broadbent and his wife, and one of her friends was Moaning Myrna. Is that her name?
Moaning
Harry
Myrtle.
Potter? Yeah, Moaning Myrtle.
Yeah.
She's the one that's crying all the time in this movie too.
Yes.
There's a lot of crossover with Harry Potter. Yeah. But she has parents, and the mother and the father are splitting up. The mother kind of has a freak out. She gets the job on Home Shopping Network, and then she gets ripped off by a guy. And it turns out he's like a snake, and the parents get back together at the end, but they're going through their own transition. So everybody's kind of going through transitions.
The stuff with her dad is really sad.
Yeah,
it bumps
he loves
me out
her so
because
much.
he loves her so much, and he's so sad that she leaves. And even when she comes back, she's like, "You have to be nicer to me." Like, she's kind of shitty to him even when she comes back, but he really loves her, and he doesn't care. What does he call her? A daft cow? Like, he's like, I'm kidding, you daft cow. Like, he just really loves her, and it made me sad. Like, when she would go to the party and bring the creep with her and hurt his feelings. And Jim Broadbent's very sweet.
He's very empathetic. You gotta want to take care of him.
Yeah.
He seems very fragile. I like the Tarts and Vickers party is hilarious. And she looks so hot in that bunny outfit. We're meant to think like when she's putting on her uniform that she's like slogging, like putting this thing on, but she looks great. She really looks good.
She looks really good, and that is my nightmare. that
Yeah, everyone's nightmare.
that you would show up to a party that you thought was like a dress up party, and everyone's dressed normal and you're dressed.
What's the one? There's a woman who every year in Halloween posts this photo, and it was a Halloween party, and she thought she dressed up as a Babadook, and nobody else was dressed up at all, and she did the full face paint.
It's like my nightmare.
Everyone's nightmare. She's just like, oh my god.
Oh my
so
god,
funny.
it is so funny. I mean, I don't know if it would be my nightmare now, but it would definitely be my nightmare back in the day, like to go to a party and be the only one dressed up for something. It's so funny. And the idea of a Tarts and Vickers party, which I've never heard of, which apparently is women, women dress up as prostitutes and men dress up as priests. I don't understand this party. I don't know why that's a thing, but
it's
okay.
a weird role play thing that I'm not sure I understand it, but good for you. Hey, you do you.
Yeah. So she goes to the party alone because Daniel says he has to go home and work. Daniel is Hugh Grant. And then she goes by Daniel's place, and that's where she finds him with another woman who busts out her huge insult of, I thought you said she was thin. What a fucking bird. What a huge bird.
She's a C word. She's a huge C word.
She is a huge C word. I'm like, what a bitch. And, you know, she's obviously really, really hurt. And that makes me very angry because we love Bridget so much. And she uses this as a jumping off point to get a job that she's actually interested in. And she gets to live out the dream we all want, which is to tell our boss to fuck off in front of everybody and go on to a better job, or at least a different job.
And she does it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I love that.
I'd love to be on an English program in the mornings. I think I'd be good at it.
I'm sure you would.
If I was younger.
Yeah. You could do it now.
I think I could. Honest to God, I think I could be silly enough.
I think so.
And I think they like, oh, Margo with the American. She's funny. She's amusing.
You are amusing.
I think I could, yeah. I could have a whole other life, Sonia.
You could. I want to see you go down that pole. Hopefully you have better luck. Hopefully you have better luck.
I'd land a fireman, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so she gets her job, and they send her on to go to cover a case where the verdict is expected that day. And of course they're like, you know the case, right? And she's like, yes, super big case. Like doesn't have any idea what they're talking about. She shows up, she misses her chance at the interview, but it turns out that Mark Darcy is there and helps her land an interview that makes her like a media star.
Yes.
For a day. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally glazed over the part where they go to she goes to the dinner party with all the smug marrieds, and Mark Darcy is there with Natasha, of course. And he has her back. Like she says, like, you know, how many marriages end in divorce now? Is it 1 in 4, 1 in 3? And he says 1 in 3, like jumps right in and gives her the big speech about, you know, how he likes her very much just as she is. And it's like, that's what we all want, right? We all want to be loved for who we are. And of course
someone that sees the best in us.
Yeah. And it just breaks down her defenses a little, and she sees him in a new light, and he is seeing her now. And then he helps her get this big interview, and she has a crush on him, and he likes her, and he comes over to help her make dinner for her friends. And I love how he jumps in to help her, and like her friends show up, and then as she goes to answer the door, there's just this little thing where like he stops and he like fixes his tie. It's like, and it's such a sweet little, it's just a stupid little one-off little moment, but it shows like he's nervous. He wants her friends to like him. And I think it's really sweet.
I like the part where he and Hugh Grant fight. I think that's
raining men.
Exactly. I told, and apparently they made it up on the spot. They figured out the choreography and
I
everything.
I
I believe it.
I love how they fight because they fight not like action stars, but like two like British men who've probably never had a fight before in their life.
Not since they were like in the grade 5 or whatever they
Yes.
say there. Yes.
There's a lot of like slapping and kicking and pushing and I love Bridget's friend like busting into the restaurant going, "There's a fight. It's a real fight." Like,
And everybody comes running.
and now they stand around and sing happy birthday at the restaurant in the middle of their fight. It's a really funny fight.
There's a lot of funny scenes in here.
Yeah, another comedy where the jokes actually work.
They actually land. And then Bridget, you know, she's bummed out at the holidays. She screwed it up with Mark. She screwed it up with her boss. Her parents are you know, whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
And then I love this scene. I love it, love it, love it. Her friends show up and they're like, "Let's go to Paris." And I'm like, yes, please.
I'm like, how come that never happens to me?
Could someone please do this for me? Yeah, let's go to Paris. Because you can do that. Because you're in London. You can go to Paris. And that's when Mark Darcy comes back.
Yes. And I love that. He kind of flips through her diary. He sees she's written some fucked up shit about him and he leaves and she freaks out and she runs out after him in her underwear and a sweater. And he's just going to buy her a new diary for a fresh start. And then they kiss and I just love it. I love it.
It's just wonderful. It's really a great movie.
It is. And it's romantic and Colin Firth is really, really handsome in this movie too. Do you have a diary or a journal?
No.
I journal now. I've been journaling this past year. I find it really helpful. I don't journal to the detail that Bridget Jones does.
I could never get into it. I tried many times in my life.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it. My mom was a journaler. My mom always had that. Yeah. I don't know why. I wish I did.
I don't write down everything, but I definitely write down like feelings and questions and things that I want to go back to and think about.
I know Oprah Winfrey is, like, I have to say both her names, but Oprah always was talking about, like, she kept a journal for years and years and years and still does it and keeps them all. I'm like, yeah, because you're fucking Oprah, man. You're like, made my first $1 million and I'm only 24.
My journal does not say that.
Yeah, like I got nominated for an Oscar, my first movie. Like, yeah, I would too.
My journal does not say that. My journal says, I wonder if I should get more dogs. Don't do it, Sonia. Don't do it. What do you think? What is... let me see. What is the most, like, assy thing someone has said to you about being single? Or is anyone... Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I have a moment. I don't know if I have to just be careful, like, who listens to the show and who doesn't. But I don't think my friend listens to this show. But she married at 20.
Whoa.
And still married, by the way. We worked together at the mall. And I was really proud of myself because I put myself through college. Not to brag, but I did.
Yeah.
And I remember I was talking to her. My sister and I graduated at the same time. And she graduated from San Francisco State, and I graduated from San Jose State. And I was talking about, like, yeah, mom and dad, they had, like, dad went to my thing and mom went to her thing. And then we met for lunch. It was really great. And I was talking about it, and I was all excited. And she was like, that's great. She goes, you know, I just would love for you to find somebody. And I was like, really? Like,
I just did this
enough.
thing. Yeah. That is assy.
Isn't it? I mean, I think she would not say that now. Or I think if I would bring it up to her, she would be really like, oh God, I'm sorry. That's really shitty. I think that's just a thing people said.
I feel like people are starting to get more aware of things like that. Where back in the day, it was more acceptable to be like, to say something like that. I feel like now people, I don't know. I guess people still say shit like that.
I don't know. I don't know that many young people, but
I was trying to think of the assiest thing someone said to me, and what I landed on was before I got married, people just wanted me to be paired up with someone, and so someone tried to set me up with someone, and I was very insulted by the person they tried to set me up with.
Yeah, that's a thing too.
Yeah, where it's just like, he's single, you're single, you have so much in common.
He exists.
Yes.
He exists. You know.
This was the worst. Here's why he was the worst. He was a magician. He was a magician, Margo.
And okay, Sonia hates magicians.
I hate them. I'm sorry. I don't want to be in rooms with magicians. Like if they're on a stage doing magic, that's fine. I'm not like excited to go to that show, but I could go. I won't like get up and run out of the room like crying or something. But like, I don't want to interact with a magician. I don't want like, pick a card. It's like, fuck off. Like, I don't want that. Like, I hate it. I hate it. They tried to, my friends tried, I was like, who do you think I am that I want to go out with a magician? You don't know me at all if you think I want to go out with a dude who's like, literally the first thing he said to me was pick a card. And I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. Like, run away. I went to a party. I was like one of the only single people there. And it was like, and this other single dude, and he was a magician. I was like, I hate all of you.
I am in hell.
This is hell. Make me disappear. Make me disappear.
It's something like, I think also when we do talk about Sex in the City, there used to also just be a thing. I don't know if it's just the time, the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, but it was just like, you just have to date all the time. Like, whoever asks you out, you have to say yes.
Right.
Right. And especially like on that show, it's like, like, I've been dating this guy for 3 months and he does this. I'm like, why are you going out with this person multiple times? Like, do you not value your time at all? Because that's got to mean something. But anyway.
Yeah, I think if you watch watch episodes of the old Sex and the City show, it doesn't hold up. Like, because you're like, what are you doing?
Right.
Why are you going out with this person at all? How did this person get a second date? You know,
I like with Bridget, like, she does have friends and she can make herself happy. I mean, yes, she is looking for a boyfriend, but she also values everybody in her life.
Yeah.
And has time for them, which is nice.
Absolutely. And like, this is really, Pride and Prejudice kind of is the basis for almost every romantic comedy. It's almost like every romantic comedy could say that they are based on Pride and Prejudice, because it's two people who meet at first who don't like each other and then they fall in love. That's every romantic comedy.
Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite Jane Austen adaptations. You know, Clueless is also based on Emma, and that's a really great one too, but this one is definitely one of my faves. I love it so much.
I agree, and it holds up.
It does. And I love the BBC miniseries, the one with Colin Firth. He set like British television on fire when he was Mark Darcy. Like, he became quite the heartthrob.
He's the best Darcy, though. I mean, there's been some good ones.
Yeah.
I think he's the best.
I think so too. He's so good. Do you like the other Bridget Jones movies at all?
I didn't like the second one, and I never saw the third one.
I did not like the second one, and I had mixed feelings about the third one. I'll say that. Like, there were parts of it I liked, and they break up Darcy and Bridget a lot, and that's annoying. And there's a whole thing in the third one where she's pregnant and she doesn't know who the father is. And I'm like, well, there's a test for that, but she's too afraid to take the test. So the whole movie is all this like wacky comedy about the fact that she doesn't know who the father is. And I'm like, or you could just fucking woman up and take the test.
It's all about gestation. I mean, ugh.
Yeah, I'm like, I know that an amniocentesis is really scary, and I had to have one when I was pregnant. I get it, but it's just a test.
Yeah.
You could just take it and it'll be fine. Like it's the movie's not my fave, I'll just say, but other people probably really like it. This movie, so when this one came out, like you said, people were really obsessed with her weight. And
Yeah.
I went and looked, and like some of the old reviews were just like, even the reviews are just focused on the weight she put on for the role. And
No one could avoid it.
it's ridiculous. It's like, could you just review the movie? But they're all about Renee Zellweger put on 25 pounds. Ooh, 25 pounds.
Yeah, isn't that
I put on
cute?
that much during the holidays. Who cares? You know, it's a ridiculous thing. And there was also a lot of, like, before the movie came out, a lot of freak out about casting an American actress in such a British role.
Mhm.
And I'm not an expert on accents, but she seems to have done a really, really good job to me.
I think she's perfect.
I really love her in this role, and her accent seems pretty flawless to me.
Mhm.
I thought she did a really great job. There were a lot of other actresses who were considered. They were looking at Helena Bonham Carter, and I'm like, I don't think she would have been right for this role. She's very hard
Yeah.
or cold to me. Kate Blanchett.
She probably would have been too young.
Yeah. Emily Watson.
She's always good.
Yeah. Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, she's filming in my neighborhood. I took pictures of her for my book, Film in Brooklyn,
Mhm.
coming out this spring. And I heard that there was this movie being filmed in my neighborhood, and I went up there with my telephoto lens, wearing my Star Wars sweatshirt. And I didn't know who it was. I was just taking pictures. People kind of running over me. And I looked up and I realized that's Rachel Weisz.
She's beautiful.
Oh my God. Her skin is just
Mhm.
insane. Yeah.
She's gorgeous. Toni Collette was considered, but she turned it down for a Broadway show. And Kate Winslet was too young.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then there was, apparently they were also entertaining Cameron Diaz. And I was like, well, she definitely couldn't do the accent. I don't think.
No, she's too hot.
Yeah. And she's too hot. Like, and it's not that Renee Zellweger isn't hot, but she can do cute. Bridget needs to be cute, I think.
She needs to be makeup free, scrunchy face.
Yeah.
Little, like, has like threadbares on her sweater, and needs to be askew, like slightly askew. You need to buy it.
Yeah. Cameron Diaz is too perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a knock on Cameron Diaz. She's beautiful. She's insanely beautiful. Yeah.
And Renee Zellweger did such a good job. She was nominated for Best Actress for an Academy Award. Almost unheard of for comedy, by the way.
Mhm.
Like, she did not win. Do you remember who won?
No, tell me.
It was Halle Berry for Monsters Ball.
I hated that movie.
Everyone loves Monsters Ball. Everyone's still talking about it.
I know. It's one of those, like, and I like Halle Berry a lot.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I think she's a great actress. I think she's really charismatic.
Yeah.
But that movie was ugh.
This is a interesting. So Halle Berry won. Judi Dench was nominated for Iris. I've never seen
I never
Iris.
saw that. No.
Nicole Kidman for Moulin Rouge.
I did not like that movie either. I know people
Shut
love that movie.
up.
I know.
I also
I'm an
didn't
asshole.
like. No, I didn't
Oh,
like it
good.
either.
I had a friend. We were on a double date, and we saw it, and my friend got really drunk and yelling at me in the diner, in this little booth in the diner, going, "You have no heart. You officially have no heart," because I didn't like this movie.
I wonder if I would like it more now.
I think now that I know what it is,
Yes, exactly.
I think I get it. At the time, I'm like, why is John Leguizamo like doing the thing with the knees or his
Yes.
feet?
Oh my God. You and I are the same.
And they're singing all the contemporary songs, and I just found it really odd. I think now I'm like, okay, that's just what it is, and then I would think I would accept it.
When that movie first starts, I remember saying, what the fuck is happening? Like, it was like too much. It was like
Yeah.
aggressively too much for me. And I was like overwhelmed by like how loud and busy it was. And it was too much. And it just turned me off. And it's not that Nicole Kidman isn't great. She's always great. And she's so beautiful in the movie. But the idea that Ewan McGregor's character is in love with her so much, I'm like, is it just because she's so beautiful? Like, there didn't seem to be anything else there.
No, it's her porcelain skin.
Yeah, and I was like, I needed like just a little something more from that character, I guess.
We don't have a heart, Sonia. That's according to my friend Maria. Like, with rage, holding a French fry in her hand and like pointing it at me. You have no heart.
I should watch it again because I feel like now that I know what it is, maybe I would like it. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
you know what? Maybe
I love that you and I agree on this, though. That's why we're friends.
That's why we're buds.
That's right. Sissy Spacek.
Bows and toes.
Bows and toes. Bows before hose. Toes before bows.
Sonia fractured her elbows, and I broke 2 of my toes.
Bows and
hose.
last
few weeks.
Bows and toes.
So yeah, bows and toes. That's us. That's our new TV cop show.
It's on after
pitching it to Hulu.
It's on after Cagney and Lacey.
Yep.
So she was nominated. She did not win. It was also nominated for, and I thought you would think this is funny, an MTV Movie Award for Best Kiss.
I love MTV Movie Awards Best Kiss nominations.
Yes.
I think that should be a thing.
She did not win, but here are the other nominees for that. Heath Ledger and Shannon Sossamon for A Knight's Tale.
Never saw it.
I saw it. I'm like, that's fine. Mia Kushner and Beverly Paulson for Not Another Teen Movie.
No.
Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor for Moulin Rouge.
No.
But the winner was Jason Biggs and Sean William Scott for American Pie 2. I don't remember.
Yeah. Those movies. Boy, the sex comedies of that time. Hui.
Yeah. I don't even remember it, clearly they kissed. I don't remember.
I know the dick in the pie was from the first one. That was the...
That's pretty much the only thing I remember from the first one is Jason Biggs humping a pie. Do you want to hear the other movies that came out in 2001?
Yes, please. Let's do it.
Okay. Memento.
Great movie.
So good. Josie and the Pussycats.
Never seen it.
I love Josie and the Pussycats.
I know. We have that on our list, too.
Yeah, so good. Zoolander.
I've never seen it. I know.
I think you might like Zoolander.
I know. I worked in fashion and publishing. I think I would get it, but I never seen it.
Yeah. You should watch it. I think you would like it. The very first Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Love. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I already mentioned Moulin Rouge. The Fast and the Furious, the first one.
I do like the Fast and the Furious movies. I think they're super fun. They're stupid.
Yes.
And you can mix and match every scene, like with different movies. You would not be able to tell the difference, but I still fucking love it.
I remember seeing this first one and really liking it. And then I think I saw the third one that was like Tokyo Drift, and that was like a totally different thing. And I was like, that was entertaining. And then I never watched one until like 7. And I was like, what is happening in this movie? They are now like Secret Service agents and they're like flying all over the world. And I was like, I thought this was about car racing.
That was a book versus movie episode, by the way, because it was based on an article.
Oh my
a New York
gosh.
Magazine article. And it was about racing at night in Queens. And
I did not know
what
this.
It turned into. Yeah. Yeah. That's a fun episode.
Another franchise came out this year, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Never heard of it.
Nope.
Hello, Potter.
I've been thinking about rewatching all the Harry Potter movies. I think
the first couple are really cute.
Right.
But wow, the special effects and stuff.
Don't hold
and
up.
the acting.
Yeah.
Oof.
And then
That's Chris Columbus.
Yeah, and then those last couple are real dark.
I like them, but
Yeah.
I have to kind of brace myself for them. Yeah.
A couple more. Ghost World. Love
I
Ghost
remember
World.
really liking that.
I
yeah.
love Ghost World. Steve Buscemi's so good in that movie. So good.
Yeah.
Wet Hot American Summer.
I did like Wet Hot American Summer.
Me
It's
too.
hilarious.
I think it's hilarious. And then the last one on the list, Glitter.
Glitter is just as terrible. It's one of those movies that comes out and goes, was it really that bad? I'm like, yeah, Glitter's really bad. Geely's really bad. Like, some of them are just really shitty movies.
Glitter is the Mariah Carey movie that came out. It was...
Bless her heart. We love Mariah.
We do. Absolutely. It's real bad. I remember, like, making jokes to people where it's like, I need to be alone. I'm going to go see Glitter.
In the movie theater.
Yes.
Poor Mariah. Yeah. She's a good actress, too. Like, I've seen her in other things.
Yes.
And when she's not doing Mariah, she's actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet if I had some cocktails and watched Glitter, I would enjoy it a lot more.
I think it's one of those you have it on when you have a holiday party or something.
There you go.
You hire, Okay, so you want to hear some music? This is a great year
Yes.
for music. Lady Marmalade from Moulin Rouge. You could not get away from that song.
Still love that song.
It's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On.
Fucking love Missy Elliott.
Fucking love her. Gorillaz, Clint Eastwood.
I love the Gorillas too.
Me
They're
too.
real good.
I super love this song. Nelly Furtado, I'm Like a Bird.
Oh, that's a really good song. This is a
Good song.
great year.
Yeah, right? Destiny's Child, Bootylicious.
I love Destiny's Child.
I don't know if you're ready for this jelly. Pink, Get the Party Started.
Okay, you couldn't get away from that song.
Mary J. Blige, Family Affair. That's like my favorite J.
Yeah.
Blige song. And Shaggy, It Wasn't Me.
That song I don't love.
It's fun on TikTok.
Yeah, that's
When
true.
people- On TikTok, it's a fun one.
That Pink song, I remember I was working at the newspaper at the time, and the day of the Gay Pride Parade, every single float was playing that song. And like they would like roll right by the office. I was like, oh my God, they're playing it's the Pink song again. Like every single float was like, let's get this party started. I'm like, oh my God.
It still works, though. That song really fucking works.
I still really like that
Yeah.
song, though. It didn't ruin it for me. It was just hilarious. I'm like, y'all, you should coordinate a little better. What else are you dorking out about, Margo?
I forgot to mention, did you see the Ricardos? Meet the Ricardos?
I did not. It's on my list. Did you watch it?
It's not great.
I knew it.
Aaron Sorkin, boy, he takes, okay, talking about Nicole Kidman again.
Yeah.
And great actress. She gets her voice down really well. I see this movie and I'm like, I need to get trousers, like decent women's trousers, because she makes them look with a button-down shirt. She looks hot. She looks great. I don't buy her for a second as Lucille Ball.
Oh.
She never does anything funny that I can like. This is a whole show about one of the most successful comedy TV shows in history, and you have no idea why. And it's too bad. But it's on Amazon. You might disagree with me. I just was like, yeah. And then I saw Don't Look Up, which is Adam McKay, and that's on Netflix.
That is also on my list.
It's okay.
Okay.
I like it better as it goes along. It's trying to be satire about how people don't give a shit about how terrible the shape of the world is right now.
Right.
And that the news is not very good and not very newsy and it's not helpful and social media sucks. And it's like, how do you make fun of that when we live it
I'm like,
every day?
It sounds like it's going to bum me out.
The last, I'd say, because it has an end of the world. It's the whole trope is that there's a meteor coming.
Right.
Right.
And nobody wants
anyway,
to do anything about it.
No. So that's. Also, I saw Real World LA, Los Angeles, the season 2 cast on Paramount TV. If you still have your Paramount for the month.
Yeah, I might.
You saw Clifford with it.
I did see Clifford. By the way, I saw Clifford because my son wanted to see Clifford.
You don't have to apologize. Everyone likes Clifford. But Real World, they did New York. I talked about it last year, how much I really loved it. And this is LA, not as great of a cast as New York, but it had a lot of drama. But they don't have Dominic and they don't have Aaron. So they have everybody else.
Okay.
And Beth S. is just as annoying now as she was. She's the blonde.
Yeah.
She was the one.
Okay.
Remember her?
Yeah.
She's so annoying. It's kind of a bummer. I mean, like the show really casts a shadow on some of these people, but I watch it. And
why did Dominic and Aaron not come back?
I think, they're in their 50s now.
Yeah, they're like, I'm over this.
Like, I don't, you don't look the same.
Yeah.
And, they could have they're just been living different lives.
Yeah.
And, and that nobody's mad at them for it. I mean, they're kind of like, yeah, that's your decision. Okay. I mean, it's interesting to see where everybody happened. I forgot that Tammy had an abortion.
On the show?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all. I just remember there was like a fight with her and someone else in that room.
David.
Yeah, and he got kicked out.
He got kicked out and he's still bitter about it.
Yeah.
But then she had an abortion on the show, and then it was a big thing, like obviously, for the roommates, for them to talk about, because one of them was Catholic, one was Christian, but she had said, no, I'm not doing this. And also, do you remember she had her mouth wired shut?
That I remember.
Weight?
That's right.
And she's still, and so she said, I had an eating disorder, and I still have it. I still have issues with it. But but then it turns out like all the other women had one in their lifetime.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but they didn't mention it on the show. It's interesting. I mean, like I said, Beth is super annoying.
Yeah. That show had so much to live up to coming after New York, because New York was first, and
it just took everyone by surprise. Yeah. Like nobody really knew what it was.
I think people will be very curious. I know I will be very curious to see if they do a San Francisco reunion, because that's where not and mainly because I live here, so of course I care, but also like, they had Puck that season, and he was a real fucking prick.
Lunatic, also got kicked out.
Yeah, Pedro,
who passed away.
He passed away. And what wasn't there was a woman named Rachel on that season. She's like conservative nutbag now, right?
Oh yeah, she's married to Sean, who
from
was
like
in
the
Real
Boston.
Yes. And they had like 6 or 7 kids.
Yeah, and she's all
more than that.
Yeah.
And she's on Fox News on the weekends, and she's like super,
yuck.
And then my last thing is something that I sent to you, and it's a clip of a guy singing "No Diggity" at the airport in New Orleans. It's from 2017, and apparently the airline said that if you ever went up to ask questions, you had to sing for everybody.
I love that that's a thing.
I love that that's a thing, and I love the fact that this guy was like, you want singing? I'm going to get you some singing, and he's adorable. Mm-hmm. Everybody drink. Just Google "No Diggity Airport," and you will find it.
I love that you sent that to me, and I was like, I like this. I'm like,
it's good content.
It is good, and it's for free. There's some really good free content out there, y'all. That's some good stuff. I think the last thing we should talk about is what I'm dorking out about is the Matrix Resurrections.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, I heard of it. And it's a thing. It's the 4th movie in the Matrix franchise, and this one is just directed by Lana Wachowski, not both. And I have been thinking about it a lot since I watched it, and I really like it.
I like it too.
I
think it's clever.
Do I understand it? All of it? Absolutely not. I think that there's a lot of, for people who are like hardcore Matrix fans, I'm sure like they would appreciate this movie on a level that I'm not understanding. I'm more of a casual Matrix fan. Like, I've seen the first one a lot, but I haven't seen these sequels a lot. I've seen them each like once, maybe twice. And I just really liked what they were doing in this one. I liked how they were playing with the characters and the franchise and the IP itself, like the idea of what you have to do in a reboot, basically, or a sequel. And I like that it was really focused on Neo and Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
And I like their relationship very much. And I went back and rewatched the first Matrix after this, and Trinity was always a badass. Always a badass. And I like that. I feel like they're giving her more props in Resurrections, like that she's just as important as Neo. And I like that very much. I really liked it.
Great.
He looks so great.
He looks amazing.
And so does she.
Yeah, they both look incredible. It's great actors. I love the San Francisco sets.
Yes.
I think it totally. I watched it like 3 or 4 times.
Oh my gosh!
Overnight, but I put it on overnight, so I had weird dreams.
Yeah, night. I bet.
but I super enjoyed it, and I think it's totally worth it.
I think
it's on HBO Max. I think
that's right. It is, and I think it's super worth it. And like I said, I really love it, and I know that there was like some like critics who were like, this is super woke Matrix. And I was like, LOL. Like, what the fuck? Right. Have you never seen a Matrix movie? They've always been woke. They're literally about waking up. That's the whole idea. I don't know what these people are talking about. They're just being clickbaity assholes. All the Matrix movies were about emotion and love, ultimately. And this one is no different than that. And I just really enjoyed it. I recommend too. 2 thumbs up for Matrix Resurrections.
That's right. That's 4 for gore. That's going back to summer school. Dave and Chainsaw Reviews.
Oh my gosh, I love them. Margo, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on social media at Brooklyn Fit Chick, mostly for Twitter and Instagram. And I am starting to post on TikTok.
She is. It's real good, too.
I'm doing my best. I'm getting there. And that's under my name, Margo Donahue.
And you could find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. I post some stuff there, too. And if you like the sound of our voices, you can also find us at whatacreeppodcast.com, where we're talking about creeps of the past and the present. And we are having such a great time there. We have a Patreon page. If you want some bonus episodes, join us. It's actually really fun. We end every episode with someone who's not a creep, so you don't feel depressed at the end. If you like this show, and I assume you do because you're here at the end still listening, you can go to dorkingoutshow.com, or if you subscribe on Apple Podcasts and want to give us a review, that would be amazing, and we'll give you a shout out. And you can find it at Dorking Out Show on Twitter, and you could go to the Facebook page. It's mainly where people go to complain about our salty language, but please do if you want, or email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com. We'll send you some stickers. They're real adorable. Everybody drink. And if you have requests, we take requests.
Just make sure it's streaming. You'd be surprised how many films are not streaming or on any of the platforms. And unfortunately, we can't cover it.
Yes. We might own that movie, but we want everybody to be able to watch it. So if it's not streaming, sadly, Airheads is still not streaming. Y'all, I'm checking like every week. Airheads and Pump Up the Volume are not streaming. I'm checking every week.
Release them, you cowards!
You cowards. Better Off Dead is not streaming. I am checking every week for these 3 movies for us because they have been requested multiple times. And I'm like, it's gonna happen. Release them, you cowards. But this was really fun. I'm glad we got to talk about Bridget Jones's Diary. I can't believe we waited this long, to be honest.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I totally loved it. I'm going to go to a Tarts and Vickers party right now, me and my stumpy toes.
Well, I like you, Margo, very much.
Aww.
Just as you are.
I like you too.
Thanks.